Welcome to Spooky Southcoast.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
AM 1420, WBSM presents Spooky South Coast with your hosts Tim Weisberg and Matt Costa.
Good evening and welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the Science Advisor Matt Moniz. I did that last week too, didn't I?
It's all right.
The silent assassin Matt Costa is not here because he is working. He works Saturday nights now, so it kind of throws off everything. But that's all right. We'll soldier on without him. I'm sitting behind the board here. That's the sound of my knuckles not cracking. I don't have the sound effect for knuckles cracking, and I can't really make mine crack. But we are here to talk with you about the paranormal. Oh, that sounded painful. Oh, that's not good for you, right?
True.
Yeah, you're going to have disgusting claws when you're an old man.
I have them now.
That's true. That's what the women tell me. So we are here to talk with you about the paranormal, as we are each and every Saturday night. Normally we're on from 10 to midnight, but tonight we're on in advance of tonight's game because we have Dallas at Tampa Bay NFL football coming your way at 8 p.m. So we are going to be talking with you all the way until then. And I'm excited. I love these primetime shows.
It's not often that we get to be on early primetime.
We always win over some new fans, and we get some of our regular fans to bed early for a change, which I know they're appreciative of, especially those that have kids. Dave, I'm looking at you. And, he must be having a great time because the Bruins were already on and everything's all set. So now he can enjoy some Spooky South Coast, and then he can take his wife out.
She'd appreciate that, I'm sure.
So we are going to talk with you tonight. Actually, this is the last Spooky South Coast of 2011. So we're not going to talk to you again until next year. So we'd like to use tonight's show to kind of talk with you about some of the predictions that you feel are going to happen in 2012. And not just overall predictions, about life and, government stuff and the economy and all that kind of stuff, but specifically a lot of your thoughts about the paranormal as well. We do this every year. We throw the phone lines open and we try to take people's thoughts and opinions.
They can also feel free to share any ghost stories, UFO stories,
sure.
cryptids,
Yeah, it's a real free-form night here tonight in prime time. But one of the things that always happens when we do this is we inevitably get somebody that calls in and says, this is the year that UFO disclosure is going to take place. This is the year that the government is going to come clean about everything that happened with UFOs. Now, those who predicted it in 2011 can almost say that they were right because the government supposedly came clean about everything they had about UFOs after that petition launched by Steve Bassett and the Disclosure Project there, where they supposedly, said all they had to say about it.
But they say that every year.
But this was different. This came on nice White House stationery. And I think it was addressed in some White House press meetings too. So, but if you thought that, that was the year it was going to happen, we got a little bit of a touch of it. Now it didn't serve the purpose that people thought it would. It didn't satisfy people at all. Instead, it raised more questions. There's more petitions out there, and they're now trying to get, I think it's 30,000 signatures they need now to get more information released. So they're working on that, and they'll definitely keep up with that. We're going to have Steve on the show in the new year to talk more about that. But we are getting closer to it, I guess you could say. If the government is acknowledging the fact that the requests are out there to learn more about what they have about UFOs, progress is being made.
Yeah, I mean, there's a large, vast treasure trove of information that's locked up in some of these files. And the stuff that they talked about, has been known for a long time. And the other stuff that they didn't talk about, and what's making America kind of look bad, is a lot of these other countries have already published their information. And the government's denying stuff here that they've already been outed by in other countries, especially in certain key events where certain U.S. military were involved with some of the events that happened in these foreign countries. And, these foreign countries have now divulged it. Yeah, we were involved with knowing about it, but our country still even denies the events happening in these other countries. So how good is the disclosure that they gave this year? Same as they normally give.
Well, the other big prediction that people always make is that, there's going to be some sort of catastrophic world event. This is the year that if ever you're going to predict that, this would be the time. Because 2012 is supposedly, it's the end of the Mayan calendar, and it's going to be the end of something in a lot of people's eyes. Some people feel it's going to be the end of the world. Some people say it's going to be the end of a current state of consciousness. Some people think it's going to be the end of the veil that's over our eyes for a lot of these things, and that for some reason something's going to happen that allows us to perceive the paranormal more in our daily lives. There's so many thoughts and theories about it, and we'll definitely have the phone lines open to all of you. But Moniz, I'll throw it out to you first. What do you think is going to be one of the big predictions of 2012? And I'm talking anything.
Anything? Believe it or not, I think we're going to see an even larger increase in the amount of extreme weather that we've been having. In particular, you're going to see a lot more severe storms happening. You're also going to see more severe tornadoes and various droughts happening in greater expanses than they already do. Our weather system is really starting to use this technical term, go nutsy cuckoo.
Well, the thing that I have noticed a lot about the weather over the last few years is that you really can't pinpoint what's happening. We have all this global warming talk leading up until last year, and last year we have record colds and record snowfalls, and now look at this year. It's December, it's almost Christmas, we haven't even had a single snowflake yet.
Well, bear in mind that the terms that they're talking about, global warming, and you can get into all kinds of arguments about this with all kinds of people. I worked in environmental science for a number of years and did work on environmental testing and stuff like that, but there is geological record as well as records in our ice sheets that we can show that this happens like a fairly regular pattern. We're just following now into a more of a warming trend, and then after another 10,000 years it'll start to slough off again. Some people say it's due to the amount of carbon that we've input into our atmosphere since we've been industrial. Well, Mount Pinatubo put 10 times the amount we've ever produced in one eruption. So the equivalent of what we put into our system is, some people will say is, significant. Other people say it's about as significant as a mouse fart in a hurricane. It's
depends on how much cheese that mouse is eating.
Yeah, but you get the point. Some people say it's way too much. Other people don't think it's, really anything. I think we do make some sort of contribution. We haven't necessarily helped matters along, but I think, these trends are definitely shown out in historical record that this is what the Earth does.
Well, I think as we talk about a lot of these topics, and we'll let people weigh in on the chat room on Spooky TV at SpookySouthcoast.com. If you go to our website, if you're new to the show, we have our website, SpookySouthcoast.com, and when you go to that website, in the upper left-hand corner of your screen is a little icon that says, click here for Spooky TV. And what that does is that gives you our in-studio cameras. Normally we run 4 cameras. Tonight we're running 3 because we don't have the Silent Assassin here tonight. But it gives you a chance to see what's going on in the studio as we're having the discussion. And also on that page is our chat room, which it's been redesigned. And I'm hearing some complaints right now, complaints about a Spooky South Coast logo that's in the background of it. That's actually in the background of it, so we can't change that. It's kind of stuck, but I'll see if Matt Costa can remove that with the coding sometime during the week. But you can get interactive with the show in the chat room. So if you don't want to call in and share your predictions, you can share them there, and hopefully we can have a chance to read them on the air. It's a lot of things to take care of at once, but we'll try to keep up with that as best we can. You can also email them to us at spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com, and we also have a text line, 508... I forgot the text line. 508-444-2661. So 508-444-BOO1, the Boo line, if you want to text us. And the best way to get a hold of us, because it's way more interactive and way more fun, is, of course, to call in. 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Those are the numbers. We want to hear your thoughts, your predictions, what you think is going to happen in 2012. And we can get into that Mayan calendar stuff. We can get into the idea of some sort of shift. Some people do think it is going to be the physical beginning of the end, and that we need to start stocking up on bottled water and everything else. My thoughts are, if it is the end, I don't know. Do I want to go quickly You've seen the movie 2012, I'm sure, with John Cusack.
Actually, no, I haven't.
Well, you've seen similar disaster movies.
Yeah.
And you always wonder who has it better, the person that waits, that has to live out as the seas boil and the skies turn to sulfur, or the guy that just goes right away. Like if the rapture's coming, we all say that the people who get raptured have the easy way out, but I don't know. Do they? I mean, how bad is it going to be? From what I understand, pretty bad.
Yeah, I personally don't want to find out myself.
But you've got no chance of getting raptured.
Oh, hell no.
No. The only thing that works for you is you'll probably be on Team Antichrist when it happens. So at least, during the final 7 years of suffering, you'll at least, be pretty comfortable.
Yeah. I think I'm hated by both teams, but
That might be true.
remember, I'm a scientist.
That's true. And the good thing is, though, is you're also savvy enough to figure out which team is winning and kind of just jump on board with them. You're a front runner, Moniz, a front runner in the spiritual wars between heaven and hell. All right, so again, the numbers are 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. One of the predictions I made last year was that paranormal media would be on the downswing, that we wouldn't have as many paranormal TV shows, we wouldn't have as many...
The bubble will have burst.
And I did. I felt that way to some degree. I thought it was going to be a situation where the market was becoming oversaturated and that we were going to see less and less of these shows. To some degree, I was right.
The shows have changed. Yeah.
Well, it's less about the investigation part of the show. I mean, there's less shows about ghost hunting groups that are going out there, and it's more thematic in what they're doing. So we did see the debut of Haunted Collector with our friend John Zaffis, who actually goes out and investigates cases of haunted objects and conducts an investigation accordingly as part of that. But also we've seen the rise of a lot of other shows too, like the Fact or Fake show has become really popular. The My Ghost Story has become more popular. And there's another one that I'm forgetting that's hosted by a woman on the Sci-Fi Channel.
On Sci-Fi?
Yeah, I think so.
You also have,
or on Travel Channel, I'm not sure. I don't really pay attention enough to a lot of these shows.
Well, there are several more that, you have Paranormal Activity, which is on Sci-Fi also.
Paranormal Witness is the one you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
The one that's on after Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
And but that goes to the trend that I'm thinking of here, where it's becoming less about the procedural investigation and the tracking down of evidence and getting more back to the story. And that's a trend that seems to be going all across the paranormal. It's less about the hard evidence for a lot of people, and it's more about
story,
getting back to why we got into this in the first place. And I wonder, Moniz, if you think that maybe part of that is because so many people that were going out there looking for evidence to convince themselves, people who decided, I need to either watch Ghost Hunters to see if something is enough to get me thinking that it is real, or people are saying, I'm going to go out there in the field myself and try to experience it, and they have. Do we have enough people that are interested in this topic that have become convinced enough that they don't need the hard data anymore? Hard data is nice, but, and I say hard data, it's really soft data, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's
data.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
We'll just keep it that. But are they seeing enough now that they're convinced, and now they kind of want to get back to the unscientific why? Because if you can prove that it exists, like, what's the point? I mean,
What do you mean by unscientific?
Well, look at it like this.
We scientifically without using all the fancy gadgets.
We know we can make butter, okay? The fun part is what can we put butter on, And I think that might be kind of what it is with the paranormal. We know that it's there.
Or like bacon.
Well, bacon you can put on anything. There's nothing scientific about that.
Paranormal bacon.
Yeah, and there's nothing scientific about that. Just put the bacon on it and go to town. But with the paranormal now, it's become a matter of we know that it exists. Now let's find where and how it exists. So it's not the why, it's not the what, it's the how. We can get back to,
and where is wherever is haunted, obviously.
Yes, but we can get back to the idea of, okay, we're taking it for granted now that it's there. Now let's go and see the differences between it. Is that the next logical step of scientific investigation? I mean, we all learn that the empiric method, when we're in school. Yeah. But would the next logical leap of a science be we can prove it, and of course, prove being relative when we're talking about the paranormal, but we can prove it. Now let's apply it.
Well, that goes back to the where. First, we have to establish, is this place definitely having activity? Once we get a number of places that we can say with relative certainty there's something definitely going on here, then after it's established, then you can go into a number of different methodologies to determine what's happening there. I mean, it still may not necessarily be something truly unknown. It may actually be a part of a natural occurrence that we are not completely familiar with yet, which still would include a whole host of different things. It's not necessarily something beyond what we don't have the capacity to know. That makes sense to you?
No, it does.
I'm just saying that it's all in how you apply it. Once you find a set of places, okay, we all agree that there's something hinky going on here. Okay. Then now, once you're there, you can apply different methodologies to collect your data. Try it this way on this place, try it that way on that place, and another way on another place, and see what kind of information you get. Then you'll alternate the methodologies in each of the other places and see how they correlate. That's basically how science works.
Well, the interesting thing for me is, as a writer and as a chronicler of things paranormal, I just wrapped up the Haunted Objects book that I've been writing alongside with Chris Balzano, and I can almost see the difference in the length of time that we worked on it. Some of the early stories that we worked on, you can kind of tell we were explaining how it could be happen, how it could be misconstrued as being paranormal if it wasn't. And it's funny because we're almost kind of disproving some of these stories early on. And then when we get more toward the later stories, it's like, no, let's just tell the story. That's the fun part. That's why we're all in this to begin with. We're all in this to begin with because there's something about the thrill of the chill. There's something about enjoying the adrenaline rush that happens. Now, that adrenaline rush for you as a scientist probably happens, in the experimental phase when you're putting a hypothesis to the test to see if it really happens. You probably can naturally build that adrenaline up to, let's see what happens. I really want to see where this goes. And with other people, it has to be more of an adrenaline rush of being afraid. But either way, it's the same euphoria involved.
My adrenaline gets going when I see things that happen that I know, according to the physics I've been taught, are not supposed to happen. You can't tell me it didn't happen. I physically watched it for myself. How it happened, well, I'm still trying to work on that. But I know it definitely did happen. And, my camera and whatever, or my other recorders, they don't suffer hallucinations. They're just arbitrary pieces of instrumentation that record data. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah, granted, we can argue till we're blue in the face of what we're seeing in the image or hearing in the recording, but the instrument itself is completely arbitrary. It'll just record what's there.
We have a question in the chat room from Whaling City Ghosts, and she wants to know if groups do go to a location and just gather evidence and not put together what is happening there. And I think that does happen. I think there's a number of cases where groups go out and investigate, they collect data, but they can't put it all together in an overall bigger picture. It might be because of the reason why they're investigating. It might be the fact that, they only get a brief window into the activity that's happening there. But there is trouble in the paranormal field with the big picture. And that is something that I have to believe that at this point in time, with the exception of the spiritualism era, we have more people now trying to get in contact with spirits in this country than we've ever had. I've got to think that's the case. Just looking at the number of paranormal groups and how many hobbyists there are.
I would qualify that statement with the word openly.
Okay. But with all of this potential spirit contact happening, we have a lot of stories of people's individual experiences with that spirit contact, whether it be somebody who experiences a haunting or an investigator who goes out and investigates the paranormal. But there's more case evidence now than there may have been in the past. But still, people are having trouble threading that together. Look at how much work we had to put into Lizzie Borden's house before we started coming up with bigger overall theories about what was going on, aside from Lizzie Borden killed her father and stepmother, and now they're all haunting the property. I mean, that's...
Well,
the easy conclusion, but there's a much deeper story there.
And we don't even really know if that's actually true. Remember, she was acquitted. She was found not guilty. So can we absolutely prove she did it? No. Nobody.
And I don't want to. Like, in all the work that I do, we talked about this the other day when I was talking about writing about Lizzie Borden's. I have no desire to prove whether or not Lizzie Borden killed Andrew and Abby Borden. I have no desire to prove if she did or didn't do it. What I want to do is I want to document the hauntings that are going on there. And if in the course of that documentation of the haunting, if the information comes through from that other side, one way or the other, I'll share it with people. But I'll also share it with them saying, hey, this is just what we heard. There's no guarantee that this is the truth. I mean, we have Luann in the chat room who captured that voice of Lizzie Borden saying, or we believe is Lizzie Borden saying that she was a good daughter.
Yeah.
And even listening to that, you get different interpretations of what she meant by that. Some people feel it meant, I'm a good daughter. I didn't do this. I wouldn't have killed my parents. And then in other, circles, people believe that, well, she did do it, but she wanted people to think that she was a good person and that she didn't really want to have to do it, but that she was forced to do it almost. So it can all be read in a different way, and that's where it makes getting to this bigger picture harder, because it's harder to thread all this stuff together, especially, and this is a whole other side tangent, but especially when you have groups that don't want to share their evidence, when you have groups that don't want to share their own experiences, that say, well, we went and investigated such and such location, but if you want to find out what happened, you have to buy our DVD for $9.99. When you're not being open, and I want to say that I'm not putting out the call here for somebody to make another paranormal database, because they don't work. And they don't work because of this ownership problem with evidence. And that's something that I'm not going to predict is going to change in 2012.
Oh, no.
But I would love to predict that I think that it would.
Well, I've been studying ufology for many, well, just as long as I have, the paranormal and ghosts, and I've seen the same thing. People with really good photographs and video of, weird objects in the sky, and they'll sit on it. Some of the best photos and video I've ever seen of UFOs and stuff have been in private collections that have never seen the light of day and won't ever see the light of day because certain people are sitting on them, too afraid to release it. This is their little ace in the hole type of thing. And the same thing happens with, I've seen in the ghost field as well as the crypto field. People are sitting on stuff. And that to me is wrong. As a scientist, I look at this like, why are you not putting this out? This is what we're here to look for. I mean, if you got good stuff like this, I'm not saying that it would absolutely crack out anything wide open, but it helps lead further data and information towards an answer. Holding a piece of data prevents you from getting to a final answer.
But that's part of the problem, is you're looking at it from the perspective of a scientist. 90% of the people that are out there working in this field are not scientists.
Yes, they're looking at what can this do for me, not what can this do for society, for our general growth as people and knowledge in general.
And we were talking about that driving into the show, that it's become so much about, where will this pay off? And I think that if we can get to the point, not that I want to see the paranormal go away in pop culture, let's face it, we don't make anything for doing this show, but we can make some pretty decent, side money if we choose to take the opportunities that are presented to us.
You know how many different offers I've gotten to be on various shows, and you've seen the offers I've gotten.
The chances are out there. I write books about the stuff, so I'm making money off. So we don't want to see it go away. For a lot of our friends in the field, it is their primary occupation. So I'm not saying that I want to see this all come crashing down, but when it does, and it's inevitable, it will.
Oh, yeah.
Unless there becomes a huge consciousness shift in how we handle the paranormal as a society, this bubble will burst. And when it does, then I think it's going to be really interesting to see how much effort is still put into it, and then what kind of evidence comes out. Because right now, I don't care. Thousands of people are out there doing this right now as we speak, investigating the paranormal in one aspect, whether it be ghosts, UFOs, whether it be cryptids, like out there searching for Bigfoot, any of that kind of stuff. There's all this stuff going on, and most of those people are going to tell you that they're doing it for the right reason. They're going to tell you that they're doing it for the advancement of the field. But almost every single one of those people would sell that evidence to a television show or jump on the chance to have a television show if that's the case. People are gathering evidence because they think it's going to increase their visibility and it's going to increase their opportunity to be part of the entertainment media. And I don't want to criticize anybody that's done it, but to some degree, you're selling your soul as an investigator to do that. It's hard to maintain the integrity that you're claiming to have now when you're doing it for the cameras, because it's going to be perceived that you don't have that integrity. Even if you are doing things 100% on the up and up, you're automatically taking that hit to your reputation by all of a sudden there's going to be those detractors who are going to be against you because you're doing it for television.
And because of the history of some of the shows in the past being so tainted with, you know, now after the fact, you know, people talking about things being, you know, Hollywoodized. Let's use that term, Hollywoodized, in some of these reality shows where things weren't exactly as legit as portrayed on television. So, you know, the track record speaks for itself. There are some that, you know, you have to look at with a skeptical eye. And that's because Hollywood's involved in it. And once that happens, once the fame, once the money gets involved, the original purity of looking for answers is now compromised.
And when all of that is gone, when all of that disappears and all that opportunity is no longer there, then I want to see, well, I want to see how much people are really dedicated to still then. But then I want to see what happens to the evidence that people collect. You're still going to have your people that are forward thinking and are going to say, you know, this bubble is going to build up again because it is cyclical. But I also think you're going to have people that are going to be a lot more willing to share. You will have people that are a lot more willing to put it out there. Like myself and Dave Francis, we started Paranormal Peer Review, a Facebook page. And all that is it's just a place for people to put evidence and to have people who have experience breaking down and analyzing evidence to take a look at it. People who might have different theories, different approaches, different experiences with evidence than you've had. It's not designed to, break anybody's spirits, no pun intended. It's not designed to discourage you from investigating. We're not trying to say that our way is the only way. What we are trying to do, and likewise, we're also not trying to pump you up full of false hope and promises either. We're trying to tell you the potential pitfalls of collecting paranormal evidence and where you might be mistaken. And we're telling you that based on our own research and our own experiences. We made the mistake, so let's help you not to make the mistake. That's all that it is. And it's almost called teaching. But anyway, so the idea behind this is for you to post up your video, your audio, your photographic evidence, your whatever you have, even if it's just a story, and share it with us on Paranormal Peer Review on Facebook. But when I see people post evidence up on Facebook and I say to them, why don't you go put this on the Paranormal Peer Review page, get some discussion going and see what people really think. I think this is pretty good evidence and I'd like to see what the discussion leads to over there. And I'm still hearing from people, yeah, no, I just put it on my own website. I don't put it on anybody else's website. Well, I hate to tell you this, you put it on Facebook. So everybody that's on Facebook can now steal it. You've put it on your website. So now everybody that goes to your website can now steal it. I mean, I know you can protect things and everything, but still, it's not hard for somebody to take evidence and
your basic 14-year-old is probably competent enough to screenshot your page and anything you got these days. So not as protected as you think.
So I really don't see the point of sitting on it. You know, we've since day one on this show, we've always said any evidence that we collect and present on the program. Now, we don't make this promise for our guests and the things that they bring on because that's, it's their decision about what to do. But we've also said that all the audio files are on SpookySouthcoast.com and on iTunes, so that if you ever heard an EVP and you wanted to break it down further, it's there.
Yeah.
But we've always said anything that we capture is completely open to being scrutinized because that's the way that it should be. You know, it should be, take it, let us know what you think of it. I don't have to believe what you come back and tell me about it. Yeah. But if I'm a rational thinking person that wants to advance this field and wants to advance my own abilities within it, I'm going to at least listen.
Well, I was talking with Dave, and the way I would like to see this peer review done is the admissions into your submission should be done like they do in a lot of other scientific peer reviews. It's submitted into a place for review, And in some cases, the name of the person or laboratory, if you're dealing with, is withheld in the study of what they're submitting. So in a sense, it's submitted blind. So it gets an independent review and
also you don't bring in those prejudices that people might have against an investigator or against a group.
Correct. Exactly. It's submitted blind. That'll also weed up people that are just looking to make the name. Well, your evidence, your material is being submitted for review blindly. You're not getting credit or blame. This is the material is there to stand, not who brought it there and how it,
And the structure actually does exist with paranormal peer review to be able to do that.
Yes.
Because if you do want to submit something blind, then just get a hold of myself or Dave. There's a couple of moderators on the site.
Right.
And I don't think I've made you a moderator yet, Moniz, but I will.
I'm not going to have time till after the first of the year to do anything.
It doesn't matter. By giving you the moderator access, you could also do this as well. And what it would be is if you want to submit something blind and not have your name attached to it, not have any kind of preconceived notions about your work put out there, just send it to myself or Dave. And when you're a moderator, you have the ability to post on this page as paranormal peer review. So you don't know if I put it up, you don't know if Dave put it up, you don't know if you put it up, if Marie Jones put it up, if Rosemary Ellen Guiley put it up. And by doing it this way, it's only out there as evidence. So you don't have to put your name to it. And it's really easy. Like the structure's already there. So if you ever want to do it that way, just get a hold of myself or Dave, and we can get it happening for you. So those are just some of our thoughts about what is happening with the paranormal field. And we've got a whole bunch more that we can talk about here all the way up until 8 o'clock when we bring you Dallas and Tampa Bay on Saturday Night Football. That's what I love about the late season, football games is they encroach upon spooky Southcoast territory, which I don't complain about because it's the holiday time. We've got things to do. But a good night of Saturday Night Football is ahead of you coming up here on WBSM after the Spooky Southcoast program. But all the way up until 8 o'clock, we're going to be kicking around a lot of these topics and more. For a lot of people out there who are listening to the show for the first time,
which would probably be a large amount of our airwave audience,
and they've never heard what we do, this is the kind of thing that we talk about each and every Saturday night. Now, normally what we do is we bring in a guest, and that guest will have a specific topic that we're going to discuss, or we'll talk about a multitude of topics in that guest's wheelhouse. And we've had some fantastic guests in the past, and we definitely have some terrific ones planned for 2012 as well. So always be sure to check in on SpookySouthCoast.com. That's where you can find out all the information about what's happening. You can follow me, Tim Weisberg, on Facebook. We also have a Spooky South Coast page on Facebook, and those are the two places where we also put updates. You can follow us on Twitter at SpookySC, and you can also get a hold of us anytime during the week. Again, our email address is spookycrew@SpookySouthCoast.com. That goes to everybody on the show. And then you can also send us a text, or you can call us on the Boo line, 508-444-2661.
It's the holidays at Old Navy Funnovations Inc. and our Old Navy Deal Grabber is grabbing a special weekend wonder. I wonder what he'll pick up this time. Oh, he got one? Jingle Bells. The Deal Grabbers grabbed a Jingle Jammies Weekend Wonder. All the snuggliest, buggliest jammies are just $7. And boy, do they go great with pancakes and a cup of cocoa. But this snuggly gift deal is only Saturday and Sunday. At Old Navy, come fun, come all.
Select styles only while supplies last.
Figured I'd just let it go.
Yeah.
Since it already started. People need Christmas ideas. We're getting here in the final week crunch here. All right, well, we do have a call, so we're going to take that. Again, if you want to call in and share your thoughts, 508-996-0500. 1-877-996-1420. So let's go to the phone lines. Good evening. You are on Spooky South Coast. How you doing? Hello?
Evening, fellas. How are you tonight?
Oh, we are spooktacular, as we say here.
Yeah, that's right. I have an idea.
Okay.
Now, you fellas all deal with computers, right?
We try.
Computers
try to deal with us, too. But
yeah, well, it goes both ways, right? But what I had a thought. You know what would be a great idea? If somewhere not too far in the future, you could go back and look up unsolved murders that have happened in the area, like from 1930 or 1920 on, up to now. Unsolved murders would be very, very interesting. And I bet you would get a lot of calls on that. You know, you're chuckling, but it's true.
No, I'm chuckling because
think about it.
We've already been doing stuff like that.
Oh, we've been consulted on things off the air, things that we can't actually talk about. But we have.
You know what difference would it make? Them people
because
all
some of
gonna
these
be
cases
gone
are
now.
still open.
Huh?
Because some of the cases that we're talking about are still open.
They're still open. Yeah, but a lot of them people that committed those murders are probably not even with us anymore.
No,
You know
but
what I
their
mean?
yes, but their relatives are.
Oh, yeah, but we don't have to mention names.
Well, there have been some instances where we have done shows where we talk about specific cases like that. We did talk about Sacco and Vanzetti in one show, and we have discussed a lot of that. What we need is, we don't like to be on our show. We don't like to try to be the experts. We like to find the experts.
Right.
So if there's somebody that's in the area that is researching these topics, we would love to get in touch with them and then have them come on and share their information, because in our line of work, what we do here is we're just supposed to be a conduit between the people who are out there doing the work and the people that are out there listening. So if anybody out there has been researching this stuff, please come forward. We'd love to have you on, because it does sound like a great topic. And it's one of those things where I know, and we talk with Chris Balzano, our content director, a lot, who researches this type of thing. There are so many of these unsolved murders in this area. There are, because we're in the Bridgewater Triangle, and because there is this whole energy about the southeastern part of Massachusetts.
And Massachusetts having the most amount of mental institutions in a geographical area as opposed to anywhere else. In other words, people around here are really nuts.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of psychological factors, as a community that may play into some of this. And that's, going back to the idea of talking about the bigger picture. That's what we like to look at. So it definitely sounds like a good idea. It sounds like something that we could pursue in the future. Now, what are your predictions for 2012? What do you think is going to be happening coming up the next year?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
You know what? I leave that. I let that be because I really don't know.
Well, you sound like a person that's had a lot of experience.
Oh, I've done a lot of reading.
Okay, so
But I'd like to get back to that Lizzie Borden case.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you want to know? I work there on weekends.
Yeah, well, I've read the books, and I believe she did it. You know why?
Why?
Her father, not the father, the stepmother, Abby.
Her name was Abby Borden, yes.
Abby Borden, Abby Borden. She came from a lot of money.
Yeah, she was one of the Durfees.
Correct.
The Durfee girls,
Correct.
yeah. And she was talking. See, 'cause the headboards, according to the book, were right up against the wall, and Lizzie Borden overheard her telling the father to change the will. That's what she told her sister Emma to go. Was it visit the Russells in Fairhaven?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she did her thing. And another thing that's suspicious. Why was she burning that dress? You know, her gown there. She said,
because she had paint on
that's
it.
what she says. But I don't believe that. And then her father was hacking up her pigeons.
And
That'd drive her nuts right there.
not only that, there's supposedly the retaliation by Lizzie taking her stepmother's cat and chopping its head off in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chopping who's what?
She took her, this is alleged.
A hat?
Her cat, her
Oh, my
stepmother's
God,
cat,
Yeah.
into the
Wow.
basement.
It was a stray cat that Abby was feeding
Yeah.
and would come into the basement to eat. And when Lizzie and her had a dust up, allegedly Lizzie went down there and cut the cat's head off with an axe. But there's no proof of that
Yeah.
happening.
I don't. Oh, Lizzie did that?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
I don't believe she would have done that. She was after the mother, the stepmother.
Well, and one of the things about that is, anybody that follows Lizzie's life after the trial, she became a huge benefactor to animals in
Correct.
the area.
That's
She gave
right.
so much money to the MSPCA of the time, and it does seem like it wouldn't be. But then again, you do have the other side who will say that, well, she did that because she felt guilty about the things that she did. But maybe that's true.
I believe she was very gentle with animals. It's the people that gave her the problem, not the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to live in Maplecroft.
Yes?
Correct.
And then her sister Emma, where did Emma go, to New Hampshire or something?
Yeah, she ended up in New Hampshire.
And then when she passed away, I noticed in the 80s.
They died 2 weeks apart. 10 days apart, to be exact.
originally Emma went to Maplecroft with Lizzie, but
Right.
she apparently didn't approve of Lizzie's lifestyle with
Exactly.
Nance
Right.
O'Neill. But
and then later left for New Hampshire, and then 10 days after Lizzie died, Emma died. Or is it the other way
Wow.
around? Yeah.
Talk about coincidence. That's scary right there, right?
well, I mean,
It just happened that way, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, when you spend your whole life with somebody too.
But have you fellas ever been to Oak Grove Cemetery in Fall River?
Oh, yes.
That's where they are.
Correct.
Yeah, we would go see that. It's unbelievable, ain't it?
Have you been to the house since they opened it up for tours?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
No,
I
I haven't.
recommend getting over there, and you can either take the regular historical tour that they do, in which they talk about all the various aspects of the case, or you can take the paranormal tours that Matt Moniz, my co-host here, runs over there, where they go through and they talk about the different paranormal experiences that have happened to people in the house.
Oh, yeah. I don't believe in none of that stuff, though.
Oh, don't?
We can change your mind.
You want to stay in the house for a weekend and then tell me that?
But, at the cemetery, you notice there was a big monument with the name Shove on it?
Yeah, that's right by it. There's to the right.
On the
if you
corner,
look-
right?
Yeah.
The other corner. Now, they say he was very wealthy at the time, that fella, huh?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, at the time, you had the industrial aspects of the city. There was a lot of people making a lot of money, and there was a lot of big business happening in Fall River, and the Bordens were among that crowd. As much as Andrew didn't want to spend like that crowd and live like that crowd did, they were considered amongst that crowd.
Yeah, you had the Dole, what was it? The Coles, the Durfees, the Bordens, and several other prominent
All families that are still there to this day.
Yeah, actually.
Now those Shove the people, were they into the mills and all that?
I'm not
I
entirely
would
sure.
assume so. I mean, that would be my first guess. If any wealthy family in Fall River at the time, I would guess was involved in the mill business. But I mean, there was so much money to be made and to be had in the city at that time, and it's amazing that the city went through such a strange period. Here, I didn't realize till I researched it. Did you know that for a period of about 20 years, it wasn't even called Fall River?
No, I didn't know that.
It was called Troy, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Yeah.
They changed the name from Fall River to Troy, and then they went back to it a little bit later on because the name Fall River actually came from the Native Americans.
Translation of the.
Yeah, that was whatever they called it. I don't know off the top of my head, but it meant Fall River.
It
Fall
sounds
River,
like
so.
it's something Indian, right?
Quikichan, actually, I think.
I think there was another variation of it.
Something like
But
When will you fellas be back again? You say you're going to go for a while?
yes, we're going to be off for the next 2 weeks for the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
But then we'll be back the first weekend in January. I believe it will be the 7th.
Yeah,
January 7th.
We're
Yeah.
on this station all the time. We're just usually air at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I listen.
Oh yeah,
I've always
she's
tuned
called in
in
before. Yep.
I've called in before, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you listening, and we appreciate you following us to our different times.
Okay, and I hope somebody comes forward with those unsolved murders. It'd be nice.
All right, we'll definitely we'll put Chris, our booker, onto the case. We'll see if he can scare up anybody.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right.
You fellas have a great holiday.
Thanks.
You
You
too.
too.
I'll be listening.
Talk to you next year.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I mean, that is that's what this show is all about. I mean, we bring regular listeners in all the time because they know that we're talking about things that they're interested in and they feel is something they want to learn more about. I mean, I love when people call up and give us suggestions of shows that we can do
It's
because
actually a great idea. I wonder how many different things that could lead into.
well, and the important thing about it is we could find new avenues in the paranormal for us as well in searching out these cases. So I'm sure that there's somebody out there that's already compiling all this stuff. So if they can hear the sound of my voice, you can just email us spookykrew@spookysouthcoast.com and we can find out more because I would like to. I mean, I definitely recommend that caller and other callers buy Dark Woods, Cults, Crime, and the Paranormal in the Freetown State Forest, Christopher Balzano's first book. And you can find out more about some of the crime that went on just in that little concentrated part of our area. And then it just extrapolates out, and it's ridiculous the amount of negative interactions people have had with each other in this area as compared to other areas. So when they say things about high crime rate and things like that, a lot of people look at the socioeconomic factors. I tend to look at maybe some of the paranormal factors too. And this is definitely one of those corners of the world where that plays a part into it. So we've got about 6 minutes left here in this hour. And then we're going to take a break for the news. We'll come back and talk more about the paranormal. I do want to say thank you to a particular listener out there. I want to say thank you to Chris for our Festivus gifts. We're happy to find them when we came in here. And the Band-Aids will come in handy, I'm sure, because the monsters are out there.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody else wants to call in during the course of the program, the numbers are 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. You can also jump into the chat room on Spooky TV at SpookySouthcoast.com, or you can email us, SpookyCrew@SpookySouthcoast.com. Another thing that I would like to see happen in 2012 is I would like to see a little bit more. We talk about paranormal unity all the time, but I'd like to see a little bit more unity happen in the cryptid field, because there's nothing that's more, as much as we like to say ghost groups fight with each other and all that, there's nothing more divisive than those who look for Bigfoot. Some of these other fringe, I know all cryptids are fringe, but some of these other ones that are less popular, you tend to find that the researchers will work hand in hand with each other and share experiences, share stories, share data. But with Bigfoot, it's like
Some of them actually come to blows before.
Yeah, everybody's got their flag planted somewhere, and they're going to do all they can to make sure that nobody disrupts that flag. There was some evidence that came out this week, and I don't know if you had a chance to see it, Moniz, but I can show it to you during the break. There were some kids that made a video where they made what's called the Sobe bomb. I don't know if you've.
Yes.
I'm sure you've made Sobe bombs on the island of Dr. Moniz. Yeah. So they're making a Sobe bomb, and they're filming that.
I like Sobies.
And the idea behind it is, they're trying to just make the stupidest video they can, or the biggest Sobe bomb that anybody's ever seen. And in the course of doing that, they actually captured what they believe is a Bigfoot on the camera shot in the very background in the woods. And by breaking it down, there's a number of videos that have since come out where they break down this video frame by frame, and they look at the slumped angle of the creature. They look at the grayish face of the creature. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, that's just a person. But then two things made me think that it wasn't a person. One, you probably don't want to be that close if you know there's a Sobe bottle full of gasoline thrown onto a fire. And then the other thing is that shot-by-shot breakdown where they show it, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really look like a person. So I'll show it to you during the break if you haven't seen this particular clip.
Yeah, it's done at night and it flares up and you see the image in the background.
Yeah, and it was on Cryptomundo this past week. But that's I think where we're going to get the best Bigfoot evidence. If we've had people going out there for all these years investigating Bigfoot, trying to find Bigfoot, and Bigfoot's a lot smarter than we give him credit for. Oh. So I think you're going to have less of a chance to capture it on film that way as you are if it's going to be accidentally. Because as smart as Bigfoot may be, he may not be up on the latest technology. You know what I mean? Like, as far as I know, if Bigfoot has a cell phone, he still just has the regular Samsung. He hasn't gotten a camera phone and all that crazy stuff
He's
yet.
Still working with the brick.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know about these iPhones and smartphones and things like that. So until he does, those are probably our best chance of capturing Bigfoot evidence. And, let's not forget, supposedly the Patterson Gimlin film, that was accidental, what they caught.
Yeah, accidental in the sense, well, they were going out looking for Bigfoot.
But the moment that they caught it was not.
Yeah, they were filming what's in television terms called B-roll stuff.
And that's why the shot is kind of oh, holy crap, let's get the camera on this thing real fast. And a lot of these other, good captures of cryptids, that's what it's been. Even if they're out there searching for it, it comes at a time when you're not expecting it. So I think
like our ghost evidence that we've gotten in.
A lot of ours has been that way. Here's something that I predict will happen. I predict that they'll rerun our episode of Ghost Adventures like 15 times at least in 2012.
But that was actually a good episode.
It was.
Not just because we're on it.
No, but it was. and like I said, I don't watch these shows on a regular basis, but from everything that I've heard, this has been the season where the evidence has been off the charts for them. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't learning to avoid our technology. Maybe it's starting to learn to accept it, and By it, I mean the paranormal.
Yeah, I got you.
And maybe it's starting to give us a little bit more insight into its world. So we're going to take a break for the news, but when we come back, we'll talk more about all this stuff and more. We still want to hear your predictions. We're not hearing your predictions. And Dave said he's going to call in and go on a rant like he did the other night. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, I'm fired up for that. So hopefully he'll do that coming up in the second hour as well. So we'll talk more with you coming up. We have a whole another hour coming up until NFL football coming up at 8 o'clock when Dallas and Tampa Bay square off in the Irrelevant Bowl, I think is what they're calling it, because both teams are not doing well. But, hey, they're still America's team, those Cowboys. And then, of course, tomorrow here on WBSM, we will have at 4:15 the Pats in Denver, Brady versus Tebow. And it's the pregame will start at 1 p.m., so there'll be plenty of time to hear all about Tim Tebow and how great he is leading up into the game before the Pats, put him down on his knees and not to pray. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes following the news with more of our program, Spooky South Coast. And remember, if you like the show, join us each and every Saturday night when you can hear us talk about the paranormal on WBSM and also on Spooky TV at SpookySouthCoast.com. So stay tuned after the news. We'll be back with more here on Spooky South Coast.
First with local news, talk, and sports. This is WBSM New Bedford, AM 1420. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson, responding to a Republican presidential rival, Congressman Ron Paul's statement last night on NBC's Tonight Show that she hates Muslims. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann.
Michelle Bachmann?
She doesn't like Muslims. She hates Muslims.
Of course I don't hate Muslims. That's an absolutely outrageous statement. What I love are Americans and the American people.
Bachmann in Algona, Iowa, little more than 2 weeks before the Iowa caucuses, was attacking rival Newt Gingrich for his big money consulting work for mortgage giant Freddie Mac, and now also rival Rick Perry's relationship with drug companies.
There's real questions and real problems with Governor Perry because of what he was involved with the manufacture of Gardasil.
That was the vaccine mandated for young girls in Texas to prevent a sexually transmitted virus that can cause cervical cancer. Republican hopeful Rick Santorum in Denison, Iowa, says he doesn't think he's getting enough time at debates.
There was a report out this morning about debate time. Of the last 10 debates, the person who got the most was Mitt Romney, not surprisingly, got like 15 minutes.
Romney, campaigning in South Carolina, attacked the Obama administration's opposition to a controversial Canada to Texas oil pipeline. It's touted for jobs, while several reports claim most of those jobs would be temporary. President Obama would have 60 days to either approve or reject that pipeline project under a bill passed by the Senate today. It also extends for only 2 months payroll tax cuts and unemployment insurance. Taxpayers in the streets of Washington, D.C.
They need to do something for the long term.
Punting every, 3 or 4 months just to get stuff done is it's not the way to do it's not the way to do good business.
They can't get their act together to stop playing politics long enough to do what they have to do.
The House is expected to vote on that bill next week. With a ceremony in Baghdad, NATO's training mission of Iraq's military and security forces has come to an end. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you suffer from a magnesium deficiency?
My doctor told me I needed more magnesium, so he recommended I use Magox 400.
You're not alone. Millions of Americans don't get enough magnesium in their daily diet. And magnesium is a critical nutrient that helps you convert carbohydrates, protein, and fat into energy. Doctor-recommended Magox 400 is made with the most concentrated form of magnesium available, and each dose of Magox 400 provides all the magnesium you need each day.
Magox 400's magnificent.
Try Magox 400, the magnificent magnesium supplement.
I'm a teacher, and my kids keep me going all day. My feet needed help. I was using a gel insole when I heard about the ProFoot 2-ounce Miracle insole.
Only the 2-ounce Miracle is made with custom-forming Vitafoam to keep your feet steady and comfortable. The 2-ounce Miracle insoles conform to the unique shape of your feet, just like custom orthotics. Plus, they cushion and support your feet for amazing comfort.
The lightweight 2-ounce Miracle insoles really help my feet.
Try the ProFoot 2-ounce Miracle insole, available at Walgreens, Rite Aid, and other fine stores.
He's the first Pentagon chief to visit Libya.
Defense Secretary Leon Panetta told the Libyans the U.S. is ready to lend a helping hand, but he said it's up to the Libyans to determine what it is they need from the international community.
Libya is now in the hands of the Libyan people.
They will chart their future.
At this stage, he said, there was no discussion of providing military equipment. Linda Albin, ABC News.
The WikiLeaks leaks figure in a pre-trial hearing at Fort Meade, Maryland, expected to take a few more days. An Army private is accused of providing the classified documents to WikiLeaks. More from ABC's Kirat Radia at Fort Meade.
The government began to lay out its case against Army Private First Class Bradley Manning, but has yet to explain how they believe he obtained the classified information or who they believe he gave it to. Manning's lawyers have tried to poke holes in their case, suggesting that others may have had access to Manning's laptops. They also say that he had gender identity disorder and had created an alter ego for himself known as Brianna Manning.
These Occupy Wall Street protesters on a ladder trying to scale a fence mark their 3-month anniversary of their grassroots movement by trespassing on a vacant church-owned lot in downtown Manhattan. They want to use that area as their new campsite, where about 50 demonstrators were arrested after they scaled a chain-link fence to get to the lot owned by Trinity Church in Lower Manhattan. This is ABC News.
Hey, what's happening? I'm Wright Brand Bacon, the bigger, better bacon. When you bite into Wright Brand Bacon, it's like DJ Bacon dropping a beat in a packed bacon disco in your mouth. I'm so meaty and delicious, I'm like meat candy. Sweet. When you fry me up, I smell so good, it draws a crowd like free money. I'm so tender.
Wright Brand Bacon, bigger, better bacon. Find out more at biggerbetterbacon.com.
I'm Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too. Don't wait until it's too late.
Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Morning glory and evening grace, America. It's Hugh Hewitt earlier today, responding to an attack from Mitt Romney. Newt Gingrich says this.
I would just say that over his years of fame, that I would be glad to then listen to him, and I'll bet you $10, not 10,000. He won't take the offer.
I spent the first hour saying why this is such a shocking and bad development for Newt Gingrich and urging.
Listen, if you're considering buying hardwood flooring, don't do anything until you've written down this number and received your free Lumber Liquidators catalog.
The flooring with high quality with an unbeatable price tag.
Call in the next 10 minutes to get your free catalog.
The Costello Group wishes you a happy holiday season. The Costello Group wishes you a happy holiday season and remind you to make safe and sound decisions for your family during the holidays. Each year, more than 400 homes nationwide go up in smoke. Hundreds of people lose their lives and millions of dollars in damages occur due to unattended candles, holiday lights, and dry Christmas trees. Be safe, not sorry this holiday season. The Costello Group reminds you that the power to protect the lives of those you love rests in your hands. Visit the Costello Group online at eracostello.com.
Welcome to spooky Southcoast.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
AM 1420, WBSM presents Spooky South Coast with your hosts, Tim Weisberg and Matt Costa.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 2 of Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the science advisor, Matt Moniz. Silent Assassin Matt Costa has the night off. Well, the night off from the show because he has to actually work. But he'll be back here with us in 2012 because we will be off for the next 2 weeks. But we will come back at our regular time, I believe, beginning in January. We do have to pay attention to the schedule for the football games because there will be, later on in the month, some 8 o'clock football games, and there might even be some weeks where we get bumped off. I know when they get to the conference games, they like to schedule some Saturday games, so just stay tuned to WBSM.com and SpookySouthCoast.com, and you'll have all the information about what games are going to be happening. And, of course, you can always just listen to the station all day long, and you'll find out what's happening. Tonight we do have Dallas and Tampa Bay coming up at 8 p.m., immediately following this final hour of Spooky South Coast. And then tomorrow, pregame for the Patriots start at 1 p.m. with a 4:15 p.m. tilt, the Patriots in Denver. It's almost paranormal how the Patriots play when they go out to Denver. And there is some discussion about it being that mile-high air, that hurts them, but I don't know. They don't really play well against Denver at home either, so that's something that we can have some of our sports writer friends investigate instead of the paranormal people. We are talking about some of our ideas about the paranormal that will change in 2012, some things that we think will happen in 2012. We have not really touched upon what we believe the end of the Mayan calendar is, but we can do that this hour. We'll also take your calls at 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. You can email us spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com. You can jump in the chat room on Spooky TV at spookysouthcoast.com, which is a really cool feature we have, where we have webcams set up around the studio, and you can actually see what's going on as you're listening to the program. And we have a chat room in there as well for you to interact with our regular group. We have some of our diehards in there tonight who can make it in for the early show, but normally if you go in there on 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, the room is full of people. And Spooky TV is actually something that we run all week long. We do have other programs on there. Guardian Radio, which was a show that only debuted a few weeks ago, it looks like Guardian Radio is going to be moving off Spooky TV and moving to Danielle Arnold's website for her paranormal group. It'll just be easier for her, I think, a little bit in the technology aspects of things. But we do have Spirit Connections with Tiffany Rice each and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m., and that is also simulcast on Wareham Community Television as well. So it's a good website to go to if you want to learn more about the paranormal. It's not just about our show. We try to make it kind of a one-stop shop to learn about the paranormal and to have your own educational experiences about the paranormal. So definitely check that out, SpookySouthCoast.com. And if you are hearing the show for the first time and you like what we're doing, you can actually go back and listen to every show we've ever done. If they're not archived on the website, and I know that Matt Costa is a little bit behind in getting the archives up, you can get them all through iTunes and Zune Marketplace and wherever else you might get podcasts. So many ways to enjoy our show.
Over 300 of them?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I lost count after 250. But there's so many great shows there, so many great topics. We've done some crazy stuff over the years, things that I don't know.
Great stuff.
And Phil Paleologos and the crew here at WBSM, Taylor Cormier and everybody, they just produced a live radio play of It's a Wonderful Life. But don't forget,
we did it first.
We're the ones that started bringing back the live radio drama here. We had the first live radio drama broadcast on these airwaves in over 50 years, a few years ago when we did it. So, I just like to toot our horn a little bit there. So go back and check out some of those past episodes. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. As much as we are a paranormal talk show, we also do like to talk about a variety of things that we just think are really cool. And until they tell us that we can't, we'll keep doing it. See, that's the beauty of doing the show on Saturday nights. Everybody that works here is so busy all the time producing the great quality programming that we hear on WBSM that Saturday nights they take the night off from listening to the station, so we can kind of do whatever we want.
Well, within reason.
Sometimes we don't even worry about reason. All right, we have a call on the line. Let's take it. We'll go to this call. Oh, hey.
There you go.
That was strange. It didn't even kick through before it was off the air. But if you want to call in, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Those are the numbers. And we have everybody going in the chat room talking about this topic that we've been going over tonight, the idea of what will happen in 2012. But I want them to call in. I want them to share their predictions, mainly because I'm over here, so I can't really get to the chat room.
2012, big deal.
But we always like to look at it's not. I'm not looking for predictions because it's 2012. I'm looking for predictions because it's a new year.
Okay.
So I'm kind of just looking to see what people would like to have happen in 2012. One of the things that I would like to see
Zombie
happen.
apocalypse.
That may happen. That could be what the Mayan calendar is pointing to.
No, the Mayan.
You don't know this. For all you know, the Mayan zombies are coming on December 21st, 2012. Woohoo! Who are you to say that can't be the case? And waste all the years I've been spending training for the zombies. Particularly the Mayan zombies. It's a whole different animal.
Where do you aim? The kneecaps?
No, well, I have special ceremonies that I do so that they can't resurrect a second time. But the interesting thing about December 21st, 2012, it is a Wednesday night. I've already checked the calendar. And we're not normally on, but I'm hoping that we can convince management here to let us go for 24 hours. Of just spooky Southcoast. If the world is going to end, at least we want to be here telling you all about it. And because I think everybody else, I'm just afraid everybody else will kind of pass it off as well. It's December 21st, 2012. The world hasn't ended. Let's move on with our lives. But no, not us. We want to instill panic. And, we want to make people think that there's blood rolling down the streets and all kinds of cool stuff like that.
War of the Worlds Part 2.
Although if it does happen, I don't think we would be the best chroniclers of that necessarily. I think our veteran news staff would have a much better handle on that than we would, but they might give it the gravitas it would have, and so it would be like, really, blood down the street, cool, Moniz, go check it out. All right, let's go to this call again. The numbers are 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Good evening, you're on WBSM. How are you?
Yes. Do you know what the significance of December 21st, 2012 is?
It's the winter solstice. That's about the extent of it. Well, are you talking in the Mayan calendar?
Yes.
It's the end of the long count,
which means where are we in our universe? Where is our solar system?
Our solar system will
universe?
Our solar system will be crossing the ecliptic plane,
right.
And according to the Mayans that are alive today, all it means is it's the end of a particular calendar that they developed. It'd be no different than us switching from November and starting a new calendar in January. It's no other significant.
It's where we are. You're right, exactly where we are. Our solar system is in place in the universe, in the Milky Way galaxy. You're right.
Correct.
But where it will be, though, is it's predicted that we could have something similar to the harmonic convergence, which didn't really pay off as people thought it would.
Yeah. All it is the Mayans back then were extremely magnificent astronomers, and they just looked at the cycles that happened in the sky, and they were just built a calendar to coincide with this cycle that they noticed.
And their cycle lasted how many years?
It was over 5,000, or I believe, for the long count. They have something like 4 or 5 different calendars that they use in conjunction. The long count was it was close to 5,000 years in terms of their counting. Then they had a lunar calendar, solar calendar, and any other type of celestial.
And every 5,000 so many years, we hit this position in the Milky Way galaxy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, this happens. Yeah. Well, you would call it once an epoch. An epoch is what, 10,000 years?
Right.
So twice an epoch. It's a regular convergence. It was just
close to 5,000 years.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it's really close to that.
Now, is there any changes in our planets in relationship to the Earth when that happens?
No, our planet's always in motion, and all the planets are continuously moving slowly outward.
We know that. We know that.
Okay.
Well, but one thing that is going to happen in relation to this time period is there also is predicted to be a huge increase in solar flares and solar activity at the time.
That's part of our natural 12-year cycle.
But they're saying that this particular example of it is going to be greater than what we've seen in the past.
They're saying it is. Whether it actually is will be another story.
So it sounds to me, caller,
possibly. So what is the talk about the switch of the poles where we do a flip?
Well, that is actually a distinct possibility. We have geological record of that happening dozens and dozens of times in Earth's history. We know that geologically that definitely does happen. Is it a possibility, in the upcoming future? A good friend of mine, John White, wrote the book called Pole Shift. I helped him out with the old Omega conferences back in the late 80s, early 90s. And
when I was playing pole position. But
how about if we just get a little different gravitational change? We are made up of, the center of the Earth is made up of molten lava, am I correct?
Well, it's a molten nickel iron core, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if there's a change in any gravitational pull on the Earth, then you'd have an increased magma flow.
Well, you would increase the stresses on the tension of the planets.
And
the tectonic plates would.
The tectonic plates would have activity, all over the globe.
Correct.
Creating earthquakes and tsunamis.
Correct.
So
that's the worst case scenario.
It is. But I take it from this discussion that you're not really too concerned about what's expected to happen in 2012.
Well, we go home. That's the worst. Hey, have a good day, guys.
You too. Thanks for calling. And Happy New Year in advance. All right, we do have another call, so let's go to that. Again, if you want to call in, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. We are talking about our big thoughts and predictions of what will happen in 2012, not just with the prediction of the end of the Mayan calendar, but just predictions for the new year in general, especially as how they relate to the paranormal field. So let's go right to this call. Good evening. You're on Spooky Southcoast. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. You're on the air.
Hey. Yeah, I'm here. Big shout out to everybody in the chat room, especially Luann and Eve. I have a question about orbs. What's the significance of the colors? I captured a lot of different colors. I tried using the spirit box to try and get questions or answers of what the significance are. Could you guys elaborate a little bit on your on that info?
Well, for those who are listening to the show for the first time, orbs are these round spherical anomalies that appear in photographs and sometimes in video that a lot of people think are connected to spirit activity, but they are also frequently, proven to be dust, moisture, anything that can reflect back the light of the camera, or anything that can reflect light from a different source back to the camera will cause that problem. And where the colors come into play with orbs, a lot of people will say, well, then that discounts the notion that it's just simple light refraction, because look at this, it's colored. But Moniz, you can help me out if I'm wrong here, but can't color light just be reflected by anything prismatic?
Yeah, it's the prism effect. If the angle is just right, you're going to only reflect back that part of the prism. How many times have people set up, prisms in their window, and the way it's shaped, you'll see a longer red streak and a very shorter blue, depending upon the shape of the object, it's going to throw back only a certain amount. Most objects, the orbs that most people get in photographs, 99.98% of them are just that, objects just reflecting the flash of the light. And the genuine orbs are, self-luminous, that glow on their own, that are seen well before you pick the camera up to take the photograph. They don't show up just because you took a photograph and the flash went off. True mysterious, or the real actual paranormal orbs, are there before the photograph is taken and there after the photograph is taken.
And one of the things that I think about orbs is when you can start to see patterns in these colors that develop, it can either serve to prove or disprove what they are. For example, if you're getting a constant blue orb in a particular room every time you take photos, that's probably a light refraction of something else. But if you're going from room to room within that location and getting a lot of these blue orbs, and just picking that color at random, of course. But if you are getting blue orbs from different room to room, well, that may not be the light refraction, and that could be a sign of some sort of spirit that's following you from room to room. So it's such a controversial topic about orbs. Caller, what do you think that they are?
I went to a graveyard one time, and I was by myself, and there was this tombstone that was sticking out by itself. And I said, if there's anybody here, show yourself in front of the tombstone. And I was part of a group at one time. I showed them the picture as well, and I got this purplish orb, and there was no light reflections. There wasn't a glossy stone, and I just couldn't make nothing of it. But it was just bizarre. I heard footsteps around that area, and it was just bizarre going there and getting that color. And I don't know, if light turns that color. I mean, even if you're using 35 millimeter, would it show up on the negative?
Yeah, because you have light reflecting back to your lens. The lens then focuses it through the aperture onto your film. Your emulsion just records the part of the spectra that is being sent to it. Did you see this purple orb before you lifted the camera to take the photograph, and was it still there after the flash went off?
No, it was during the flash it happened, but I'd say about a minute afterwards, I turned around and I heard footsteps coming towards me, and it was about a couple of feet from where the orb I had, supposedly this orb had been shot, and I was by myself, so I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. It was just a question out there I had, but.
Well, like I said, though, it is a very controversial topic. So you are going to have the instances where no matter how good or how intriguing the orb might be, you're going to have people that are going to instantly tear it apart and try to explain it away as being dust or an insect or something like that. And the important thing is to just learn the patterns of those reflections. Learn what the typical signs are that it is one of those things. For example, when Andy Lake caught the Tinkerbell orb type light at the Fearing Tavern, and there's a video of that on YouTube and on the Greensville Paranormal Research.
YouTube video does not do it justice. The original footage was lost.
But just that as an example is something where when you learn how an insect moves about a room, then you realize this isn't an insect, because an insect is not going to take a straight path and at that slowly of a rate. Or if it's dust and moisture, you learn that for the most part, if you can realize the physical factors of where you're taking the photo ahead of time, then that will instantly help you be able to debunk any orbs you get before you even get into it. So, if you're taking pictures in an old dusty attic, then you should say to yourself right from the beginning, if I get any orbs, I'm going to have to throw those out. I'm going to need something a little bit more compelling than that. So just my thoughts on the orb. And it's a little bit more tame than I usually have for thoughts on the orb. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for calling in.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a great night. All right. We are going to take a break. And then when we come back on the other side, I see the VIP line is ringing. So I'm wondering who that could be. So I'm going to actually take it off the air just in case, because we are on at a different time. So I don't know if it's necessarily for us. So why don't we take a break? We'll be right back. Coming up in just a few minutes, we got about a half an hour left of the show until NFL football. We want to take your calls, your thoughts, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. We'll be right back with more here on Spooky South Coast.
It's the holidays at Old Navy Funnovations Inc. and our Old Navy Deal Grabber is grabbing a special weekend wonder. I wonder what he'll pick up this time. Oh, he got one. Jingle Bells. The Deal Grabbers grabbed a Jingle Jammies Weekend Wonder. All the snuggliest, buggliest jammies are just $7. And boy, do they go great with pancakes and a cup of cocoa. But this snuggly gift deal is only Saturday and Sunday. At Old Navy, come fun, come all.
Select styles only while supplies last.
Listen, if you're considering buying hardwood flooring, don't do anything until you've written down this number and received your free Lumber Liquidators catalog.
The flooring with high quality quality with an unbeatable price tag.
Call in the next 10 minutes to get your free catalog.
What I bought at Lumber Liquidators is of vastly higher quality than flooring I had installed 6 years ago, and for a fraction of the cost.
So if you want great hardwood flooring at unbeatable prices, trust Lumber Liquidators. We buy direct from the mills. Call right now to get our flooring guide and catalog absolutely free. It's filled with top-quality hardwood flooring, including solid hardwoods, laminates, and bamboos, and even Bellawood pre-finished flooring with a 100-year transferable warranty. The same floor Bob Vila has in his home. This free catalog is full of tips, ideas, and our flooring project list to make your buying decisions easy. Hurry, call right now to get a copy of this free guide and catalog. Call 800-853-1444 to get your free copy now. 800-853-1444. 800-853-1444.
The Costello Group wishes you a happy holiday season and remind you to make safe and sound decisions for your family during the holidays. Each year, more than 400 homes nationwide go up in smoke. Hundreds of people lose their lives and millions of dollars in damages occur due to unattended candles, holiday lights, and dry Christmas trees. Be safe, not sorry this holiday season. The Costello Group reminds you that the power to protect the lives of those you love rests in your hands. Visit the Costello Group online at eracostello.com.
Happy holidays. Welcome to REI. Can I help you?
Long list of people to shop for. First I need...
A Patagonia down sweater.
Perfect. And then a pair of...
Sorel Joan of Arctic women's boots.
Love it. And also a...
REI Traverse 30-pack?
Well, that takes care of me. Now on to my list.
We know what you need and have all the outdoor gifts they'll love. With expert help in-store and online, we offer 100% guaranteed satisfaction with every gift you buy. Visit your local REI or rei.com. REI. Find out.
If absence makes the heart grow fonder, what does presence make?
I want to say crab dip.
Correct. Finish this sequence. Tree, sky.
Transubstantiationalism.
Correct. What can you watch instantly with Netflix?
Unlimited TV episodes and movies.
Correct! Watch unlimited TV episodes and movies for only $8 a month from Netflix. See terms of use. Ma'am, are you crying?
I cry when I'm happy.
Well, that makes two of us.
All right, welcome back to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the science advisor, Matt Moniz. Silent Assassin Matt Costa having the night off, and we'll be off again. I'll mention it one more time. We'll be off for the next few weeks for the holiday season, but we will be back coming up in 2012 with a lot of great shows. But we will get bounced around a little bit because of NFL playoff football. So always stay tuned to SpookySouthCoast.com and WBSM.com to find out all the information about what's going on with the program. And I think one of the things that we're definitely focusing on for the program in 2012 is more interaction with you, the listener. So we'll try to have some more chats. We have a lot of success with the chat room on Spooky TV during our shows. So maybe we can plan some nights when we can do that just amongst ourselves. We can also, put a little bit more of a focus, I think, on getting some of that stuff into the Boo line, our caller line. So if you have things that you want to share during the course of the week, you can always give us a call at 508-444-2661. Leave a message, send a text, whatever, and that's stuff that we can get onto the show during the course of the week as well. We have these resources. We should use them. People can reach us on that number anytime, especially if you're having something going on in the paranormal, with the paranormal, and you want to have it checked out. You can get a hold of us that way. You can also email us, spookykcrew@spookysouthcoast.com as well. We try to be as accessible as we can. I've always got my phone with me. I can always get emails and messages, and if there's something that we can do to help you out, we'll certainly do that. We do have a case, Moniz, that we do have to work on after the holidays, yeah. But something that's
one of many others, I guess.
This one's getting pressing because there's unborn children involved, so we're gonna need to So we got to definitely check out what's going on there. But anyway, again, and if you have any ideas of things that you'd like to have us talk about on the show, definitely email us those ideas, spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com. We're always looking for show ideas, but we are trying to present to you new and interesting topics and things that you might not have thought about, different approaches and different viewpoints than we've normally talked about for certain things. We talked about this the other night. We were hanging out with Jeff Belanger, and we talked about the need to give people their say, even if it goes against what we feel. Like, I think if people should know our opinions about the paranormal, it should happen almost by accident or conversationally. it should be something that comes up in the discussion with a guest or with a caller, and or just in back and forth between ourselves, and it should not be something that directs the way that the show goes. I think a lot of these paranormal radio shows that are out there who, are not subject to the same type of broadcast journalism rules that we would be, a lot of them tend to just push their own agenda. And we're not going to do that here. We'll never do that here because our only agenda at Spooky South Coast is to inform and to entertain. So we'll hopefully keep doing that. I think we've got the inform part down. As how entertaining we are, I don't know. I mean, I get a lot of emails from people that say, "Oh, I go to bed every night listening to Spooky South Coast." Well, that's kind of a two-sided coin. I'm glad that you like to listen to the show before you go to bed, but how much of it are you listening to before you fall asleep? If 5 minutes in you're out like a light, that doesn't really, reflect well on what we're doing here. So. But, hey, I have been told Spooky South Coast better than any lullaby to soothe babies to sleep. So, anyway, look forward to more and more interesting things and hopefully entertaining things in 2012. Which, in 2012, we are talking about some of our predictions of what's going to happen. And, one of the safe bets I thought would have been that we're going to see another Saw movie in 2011, and that turned out not to be the case. So they're done with the Saw franchise, but so now we can just adapt that to being, we'll definitely have a Paranormal Activity film coming out on Halloween, around Halloween. So I'm not afraid to make that bold prediction because they've already said that they're going to do so. So that's my paranormal media prediction. And I also predict that Jeff Belanger's show, 30 Odd Minutes, which of course you're a part of, I see that going big time in 2012.
I like it being what it is. I think that's the whole charm of it. It's little.
But I also think that same charm would play well to a larger audience. I do. I think you could be the.
You mean if we actually had a budget?
You could be the out of control or the you can't do that on television of paranormal TV.
That would be us.
And I could definitely see that happening. And I'd be more than happy to come on and get green slimed before anybody else does, just because I've always wanted to be green slime. Speaking of green slime, we have somebody calling on the line from the land of green slime and Nickelodeon, although they did kind of get rid of Nickelodeon Studios too. But we have joining us on the line, we have Chris Balzano, our show's content director. And good evening, Chris. How you doing?
I am doing well. What's going on tonight, gentlemen?
Now, they did close Nickelodeon Studios, right?
I'm pretty sure they did, and that probably made major news down here, seeing there's not much else going on.
Well,
other than, serial killers and, election fixing.
I don't know. To me, the loss of green slime to mankind is a much bigger story, but, to each his own. So what's going on tonight, Chris?
Nothing much. I'm actually on the way to finish my Christmas shopping, and
what are you getting me?
And I am getting you plenty of water and a keychain. And
your keychain is still sitting on my desk. I don't want it to get lost in the holiday mail.
I know. Well, heaven forbid you actually mail it in the holiday mail. So.
Well, that's why I'm waiting.
There you go.
I want to make you come up here to get it.
I actually had a question for Matt Moniz.
Okay.
It's a ghost question. I'm here. You're the authority on that, so I wanted to ask.
Oh, really?
I wanted to pick your brain on something. I figured we might as well do it on air, so maybe everyone can benefit from the answer.
Okay.
I am speaking with a family, and among the various paranormal things that they've got going on, and they've got a lot of really crazy things happening. They are seeing orbs about the size of a fist with the naked eye, not with on cameras.
Right.
And it is solid black.
Really?
And I was interested in your opinion on that. Now, as far as I know, I have never heard of that before. The closest thing would be like the Orb of Chatham. If anyone local who's familiar with that or heard that story, but that was huge. That was the size of a person, and it floated through different areas. It seems to be confined to their house.
Right.
And they're seeing it on a more frequent basis. So any idea what that might be or what that might symbolize or what's going on there, whether natural or supernatural?
Well, if it was colored, I definitely could say a few natural aspects could be the cause of it. But something black, just this black dot about the size of a fist appearing in their house. Is there any shape to it?
It's round. It's round. It's like a ball.
Okay. And any emotion associated with it? Any other sensory input with it other than just visual?
No other sensory input. I asked for sound. They didn't say anything about sound. Definitely no smell or anything like that. But it does move.
Okay.
It moves fairly quick, and it goes through walls. And it's usually, from what I can remember them saying, above what would be eye level.
Above eye level? And
Right.
duration?
Probably very quickly from the way they describe it.
It
Like they see it.
It
so
goes through a
sometimes
room and then
stationary-
disappears type of thing?
Right. But more goes through the wall than disappears.
Okay.
And it's solid to the point that it does go through the wall.
They're saying solid. They're not watching any other reflections come off of it, and it's not casting any shadows as it passes things? You understand
they
the
didn't say
question?
Anything about shadow? I'll have to ask about the shadows.
Yeah, does it generate a shadow? In other words, does light penetrate through it, or does it generate a shadow, passing between the observer and light? You understand what I mean?
From the way they described it, it's more as if it were a black baseball that disappears through the wall. So they don't touch it, so it doesn't. They can't physically say that it's solid, but they see it in 3 dimensions,
Okay.
which makes them feel that it's solid. And like I said, it usually probably happens too quickly for them to know. But if I ask them, they might be able to recall that.
Okay. If I want to go to, is this seen by just one person, or is a number of people seeing it?
At least the parents, the mother and the father.
Okay, 2 separate people seeing it simultaneously?
Yes.
Okay, so that we're eliminating just one person seeing it at a time, because I'm trying to rule out like natural things, like somebody having a floater in their eye or something like that.
Right.
Just going through the basic process here. I've never heard of anything being black like that.
Am I right? Right?
Yeah, that's a new one for me. I've all kinds of various colored things, and white, from white to red, blue, orange, yellow, all of the full spectrum, but never something like a black. I've heard about stuff like that in dealing with alien abduction stuff, but nothing in terms of haunting.
What have you heard in terms of alien abduction stuff in relation to these? Are they like scouts or something?
I don't want to start really getting into this over the air, because this goes into... how do I put this? Certain pieces of information we like to keep out of the public when it comes to taking people's...
Confidentiality.
Yeah.
Right.
But it wouldn't be uncommon in some cases of UFO abduction stuff I've heard of. Put it that way.
Right. And the other thing I was thinking of when you guys were speaking about the colors with the gentleman who called is that there was an investigator in New Hampshire, in Massachusetts, I believe his name, and it was a few years ago now, but maybe Dave Sinclair, who was part of a group that I believe is called Orion.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Orion. Yep.
I think he was on one. I think he might have been on Ghost Hunters a few times at least, or something like that. But I had heard him speak at a conference where he theorized that the colors had something to do with the chakras. And
of the person or of the spirit?
Of the spirit, and it pointed to that it might have had something to do with their own cause of death.
Okay.
In other words, a red, and I don't know my chakras off the top of my head, but
no, I got where you're going. Yeah.
A red orb, for example, would mean that the person had died from something wrong with that chakra.
Right.
So if the red chakra was your head, it might be that they were, they fell and hit their head, or had a brain aneurysm, or something like that, or lung cancer for green, or whatever they might be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much weight I put into that. It was interesting. I don't think he backed it up too much. It was more just like, hey, here's some, interesting thing, I think. But it's just a theory out there.
Well, I think, the stigma of orbs prevents a lot of people from delving too deeply into it. But there are quite a few researchers out there that swear by them and consider them to be a very frequent and easily capturable connection with the spirit.
Well,
and I think that, capturable or not capturable, it's still very, prevalent in truly haunted locations to see them with the naked eye.
Mhm.
I think the trouble is that we're backing up and we're looking at the pictures of them, trying to theorize, and then you start to get into, you can't even delve into. Moniz, for example, talks about floaters in your eye, but rather, is the picture itself of something. And so, orbs during an investigation with the naked eye are definitely something that we need to get more people into theorizing and separating them from the picture ones.
Right.
Yeah, and the naked eye orbs are just like when you have that experience, and like nobody's going to be able to tell you that it's being caused by any natural phenomena, even if it is, because the experience is just that profound. And I think that that's the other problem that you're running into is like we hear people who see the bright lights, and then everybody's instant reaction to that is, oh, it's ball lightning. What is ball lightning?
Do you really want to know what ball lightning is?
But I mean, how often does ball lightning go on?
Actually, ball lightning is actually pretty rare.
So,
meteorologically, yes.
So then what are the chances that ball lightning was happening at this haunted location while you were in the process of conducting a paranormal investigation of that process of that location? You know what I mean? It's just
ball lightning also requires like regular type of lightning to be, it involves a thunderstorm.
In the atmosphere, yeah. So to me, it's just like some of the discrediting attempts are almost rarer and less provable to me than some of the paranormal causes.
Right.
I think the one of the most intense episodes I had was one that involved multiple visible orbs, even at the same time, until we were being basically inundated with them.
Would this be in the Freetown State Forest?
No, this would actually be in Valence Cemetery in Wilton, Mass.
Okay.
Which was then, and oddly enough, was also during my bachelor party, which tells you how much of a paranormal geek I am. But it was, we were being very,
those are orbs of a different type.
Well, these I would classify these as type I wonkus, definitely, because it's a fertile ground for the Pukwudgie, and, we had other things happen to us tonight. And the orbs were most definitely leading us further and further into the woods on the outskirts of this cemetery. So
most orbs that people see at their bachelor party just lead you into trouble.
Yeah. They're also accompanied with G-strings, yeah.
Well,
I like to put dollar bills between the
oddly
orbs.
enough, my wife was right next to me, so there were no G-strings at my bachelor party, unfortunately.
Who takes their prospective wife to a bachelor party? That was your first mistake.
Well, I got to admit, however dorky it sounds, my wife is my best friend, and at that time she was an active investigator with me. So
okay,
there was no one I would want alongside me more.
Okay,
and she doesn't listen to the show, so I'm not sucking up.
Yeah, that's true. Neither does mine. And I wish my wife had been at my bachelor party because it was a heck of a time. They just had a boring bachelorette party where they all sat at the house and ate Chinese food. We were at Dave and Buster's playing video games and knocking back drinks. We had fun. I'm an anti.
I noticed I didn't get invited to that, but that's all right.
Well, I didn't know you then.
All right, there you go then.
Had I known you then, you would have been invited.
Okay, good. Because you would have been invited to mine as well.
I would have flown you up from Florida.
But it was a very, the entire experience itself was the most intimidating that I've ever had, the most intense, and really the only time once I actually started to investigate as opposed to just, try to touch the paranormal, where I was like, we need to leave now because whatever this is like trying to get us. Trying to take the infamous Moniz 2 steps towards us. So,
for every step you take towards the paranormal, it takes 2 towards you. Yeah.
And it was not only taking 2 steps towards us, but in all directions. And so we were most definitely being hunted at that point.
Well, so while we have you on the line, Chris, any predictions for 2012?
I don't think the end of the world.
Okay, that's good.
So I don't buy into any of that stuff at all. I predict. No, I really have no predictions.
Well,
I really am too busy worrying about the present and how quickly it seems to be becoming the past before I can get things done to think about the year itself. I'm hoping that it's a better year than 2011, which was kind of a wacky year. And I'm hoping that we get a lot of really interesting people on Spooky South Coast, a lot of different people.
Well, it sounds like we've already got a lot of that in the works.
Yeah, sure.
And, of course, we had to bump our guest tonight because of the earlier time frame and the fact that I still have to learn how to work the Skype in here.
And for those who, I'm not sure, Tim, if you got your copy of Jeff Holder's book.
I did.
The guy's got some chops when it comes to writing. So I know we didn't get too long of an interview with him, but I'm actually really enjoying his books. I would highly suggest anyone get them, and with your permission, I would love to have him on again. Because
absolutely. I feel like we completely shortchanged him on that interview because the books didn't get out to us in time. So I feel like we didn't do the best job we could have done with him as a guest, and it's one of the few shows I actually regret.
Right, and now especially having read one and then halfway through another one, I really enjoy the way this guy writes and his perspective on things. So I definitely want him back.
We will definitely do that.
Alrighty.
And you're the boss anyway, so if you tell us it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Well, I am on the VIP line, so.
See if you can get some more cryptid people. That's one of the things I haven't, really had a chance to really hear on here a lot is cryptids, and I like cryptids.
I think there's so few people who I know of, who I come across me and tell me, hey, I'd like to be on.
I'll send you some
names. I really
names.
truly respect. I would love to get some names when so I can get.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the cryptid researchers that are out there are shying away from the media spotlight because
that's going to be the hard part.
What's been happening in the last few years with some of these hoaxes. So, all right, well, we have another. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No.
I was going to say we have another call on the line, Chris, but I'd like to keep you on while we take it, if that's all right with you.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast and I just cut off Chris Balzano because I didn't lock him in, so he can call back. You're on Spooky South Coast. How you doing?
Yes, sir. 2 predictions.
Okay.
One will be a big-name politician will be assassanated. And...
Can I pick which one?
No, let's not.
No, because I know which one you'll pick. But I also predict this country will become very close to a revolution or some kind of an uprising. That is put in stone.
All right. Well, we will hopefully call us back next year and we can discuss whether or not it came true or not.
I don't know if I'll be around.
I'm
kind of up in age.
Okay.
Okay?
As long as that's the reason and not because you're going to be the person behind the assassination.
I'm only kidding you. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good one.
Nice listening to you.
Thank you very much. All right. If Chris wants to call in, that was my fault. I completely forgot. And I'm still forgetting.
You're doing all right, though, compared to what we used to do when we first did this without costume.
Oh, man. This is a lot of work. You know what it is? And we make so much more work for ourselves by having these cameras in the chat room and everything. There is some news on that front coming in 2012. We may have the occasional little bit of help from time to time on the technical end of things with the chat room and with the cameras. We may be getting a quote-unquote intern coming in here for some shows.
I know.
So a good friend of ours in the paranormal and a loyal listener to the show may actually be coming in from time to time to help us out. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can bring in some people to give us a hand with some of the things that go on because it's getting out of control. There's too much technology in here for us. And Chris, we just got you back on. I'm sorry I cut you off there, but and now we have another call coming in. I can promise you this time you'll stay on the line for this call.
All right, because that was really scary.
I'm sorry. I forgot to hit the conference button. So normally I only have to worry about like the phones or the board, and now I have to worry about both. So, all right, let's bring this call on. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast with Chris Balzano. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we are spooktacular.
Awesome. My prediction is I think Spooky South Coast is going national this year.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears, or at least from your
Total
lips to like
syndication.
Rupert Murdoch's ear or something.
Total syndication.
That would be phenomenal.
No, actually, I was just calling just to wish you all you guys, Chris, Matt, the other Matt, if you can hear it, and you all a happy holiday.
Oh, it's right back to you and to all the
Thank you very
Spooky
much.
South Coast family.
Awesome. All right, you guys have a great Christmas and a great Hanukkah, whatever.
All right, we will talk to you next year then.
Happy Festivus.
Festivus for the rest of us.
You got it.
All right, have a good night. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, yes, that is the major goal of this show, is to eventually go national.
Oh, I thought it was to have a happy Festivus.
That too. That's the more immediate goal. But the long-term goal is let's take this baby nationwide. We're bad, we're nationwide.
So is this technically the airing of grievances?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
For
Festivus, the airing of grievances. Next, we have to erect the pole. And
I mean, listen, we're very happy here on WBSM. We have a great time here, and everybody here at the station are just wonderful people to work with, and we love being able to be on these airwaves. But let's face it, global domination ain't happening in a corner of Fairhaven. If we want to rule the world, we've got to take this baby all over the world. So I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, we're already around the world on our podcast.
Yeah.
The places that pick this up is phenomenal.
We have people that listen to us in New Zealand and Japan and China. And we have a map where we can go and kind of see where people are. And literally, I think we've touched, at least a third of the countries in the world. And it's amazing. And we're getting more and more listeners every day, and new people finding the site through the work of Chris as our content director, and helping us get the word out there more. And it's just I know it can go bigger, and I want it to go bigger because I want it to be. I want to have more of an impact, we'll say. And I want to have more of an impact because I think we're one of the only few shows that are doing it right. And I'm saying that not out of tooting our own horns here, but because of the fact that so many people, we had a get-together recently where we had the chance to talk to a couple listeners, and when they tell you that you're doing it right because you're not all over the show, then you know you're doing it right. So that's what we're going to try and keep doing going forward.
And I think the other benefit of that is the quality of guests we can then book. I've never had anyone say, no, you're too small. We don't want to come on because you're too small. But I think that if you look at the first few years before there was a lot of different people doing this, you had some really big, heavy hitters on. And not that the guests that we've had on, in the past 2 years haven't, been impactful.
But we're at the point where we're able to kind of bring people on in the beginning stages of their exposure too. Like
right.
we're able to break a lot of guests now when we weren't able to before. I mean, it's one thing to have somebody on that nobody's ever heard of. It's another thing to have somebody on that nobody's ever heard of who then goes on to bigger and better things.
Right.
Like way bigger and better than our show, right? But no, you're right. I mean, the quality of guests has been phenomenal from the beginning, and that speaks to the quality of the people that we're bringing on as guests just as much as it does to us. I mean, the fact that they're willing to give us a shot, but you're right. We do have to build up that reputation of not jumping all over them and not stomping all over their message, and that's what's important. I mean, I listen to a lot of talk radio, and I've always listened to a lot of talk radio, and I hate the shows where the host makes it about them. I don't like the Rush Limbaugh show because I don't really care what Rush Limbaugh thinks. I like shows like what Art Bell did because Art Bell would let the guests have their say. So that's why we follow the path that we do.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have to agree with the person, but we at least give them a chance to voice it.
Oh, you've disagreed with a good portion.
Several.
Of
yeah. No, but I let them speak.
Sometimes. For those of you who have never actually watched Spooky TV, you can see when I frequently have to kind of give Moniz an elbow, like hold back. I think one show I think he was actually physically restrained, Commander Sonny. So. But so that we're just about here to the end of the show, Chris. But in looking forward to 2012 and looking back in 2011, I want to thank you for all the contributions that you've done and all the help that you've given us. First of all, you took a major burden off of me in helping us find these new guests because your ear is to the wheel more than everybody else's. Is that ear to the wheel? That's not a term. Yeah. Your ear's to the ground more than I am with a lot of these people and topics. And I do think that you make a very conscious effort to give the people what they're asking for. You pay very close attention to where people want us to take this show, and you bring guests on accordingly. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. It's too easy in the booking job to just rely on waiting to see who sends you a press release or who sends you a press kit. And you go well beyond that. Kind of
to the point of restraining Moniz. Thank you very much, by the way. I mean, I couldn't do it without. when I see someone, I envision what would it be like to have Tim interview this person and have Matt commenting on this person. Like that's how and more importantly, I try to book guests that I think when I read their material or when I hear about them, I either go wow or I go no way, come on now, fool.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone in the chat room can say that sometimes I'm the first person to turn on a guest and be like, this is absolute hoo-ha. And I don't believe this at all. And so, I think both of those kinds of guests are equally exciting for the listener.
And I think as long as we keep looking at it that way, as long as we keep looking at the show as, gee, I think it would be really cool if we had this person on, I think we can't go wrong.
Right.
So, all right,
you guys do an amazing job. So I'm signing off from my locale as I pull into the mall here.
All right. Good luck with all your shopping. And
happy holidays, Chris.
Remember,
I miss you guys horribly.
Yeah.
We miss you too.
Same
Remember
here.
now, while you're shopping, just because it's happening on a spooky South Coast night, there is no combat pay for having to go to the mall. So, all right.
All right. Well, I'll try to do a live remote for the podcast. How about that?
There you go. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, but we'll have you wish happy holidays here on the air too as well. So,
thank you, gentlemen. Have a great night and have a great year, and go to 2011 together and 2012 to come.
all right.
Excellent.
And that about does it for the show. We are just about out of time, but we do want to have everybody come back and join us in 2012 when we do have all these phenomenal programs planned. We will talk about the paranormal. We'll talk about some things maybe that aren't so paranormal, but we'll definitely have fun, and we'll try to entertain and inform as we do so. We'll be back on, I believe, at our regular 10 p.m. time the first weekend in January, and we'll try to stick to that time as best we can as the sports schedule will allow. But remember, if you want to spend some time in the next few weeks, just go to SpookySouthCoast.com or go to iTunes, get all of our past episodes. So until next year, from Matt Costa, from Matt Moniz, for Chris Balzano, I'm Tim Weisberg. Stay
AM
spectacular.
1420, WBSM New Bedford. The following is a special presentation of WBSM Sports. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
First with local news, talk, and sports. This is WBSM New Bedford, AM 1420. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
AM 1420, WBSM New Bedford. The following is a special presentation of WBSM Sports. WBSM, a Cumulus station. AM 1420, WBSM New Bedford. The following is a special presentation of WBSM Sports. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
First with local news, talk, and sports. This is WBSM New Bedford, AM 1420. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
AM 1420, WBSM New Bedford. The following is a special presentation of WBSM Sports. WBSM, a Cumulus station. AM 1420, WBSM New Bedford. The following is a special presentation of WBSM Sports. WBSM, a Cumulus station.
Service, the most important part during and after the purchase of your vehicle. We're committed to giving you peace of mind and complete assurance of safety for your family and loved ones. Hi folks, Fernando Garcia, your friend in the business from Fall River Ford, where we not only wish to sell you a vehicle at great savings, but the truth is, we also will work hard to be your mechanic at low competitive pricing.
Expect the best, Fall River Ford. Expect it.
If you're having a party, then do it right with Tri-Town Pizza and Pasta inside the Mattapoisett Chowder House. Make it a great party with buffalo wings, one of their tasty specialty pizzas, or baked pastas with family sizes available. Plus, there's free delivery on orders of $20 or more in Mattapoisett only. The Mattapoisett Chowder House is your place for lunch. Stop in for one of their delicious $5.99 meals. Looking for a fun night out? There's entertainment every Saturday night, and Gary Rosa makes the best drinks around. The Mattapoisett Chowder House, Route 6, Mattapoisett. Surgery is disruptive to anyone's life, but now the road to recovery has just gotten easier. You can make your recovery time go smoother than ever with a little help from the Oaks.
With
The
Nick
Oaks.
Fadden and Peyton Hillis. Since he's been in Dallas, it's always been 3 or 4 players, and now it's he and Sammy Morris and a couple of fullbacks. And I think that's going to be a incredibly tough situation for Dallas, just changing things up enough to keep Felix Jones fresh.
Well, it's time to make contact with our sideline reporter for tonight, Kevin Kiley, brought to you by Constant Contact, helping small business combine email marketing with social media to achieve success. Learn more at ConstantContact.com. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening, Kev. Good evening, Randy. Oh, boy, I'll tell you, this is going to be a good one. There's lots at stake on both sides tonight. The Cowboys making a habit of losing those close ones, as you guys mentioned, and it's wearing a little thin in Dallas and in Tampa. This week, Jerry Jones was asked if Jason Garrett's job was in danger. Now, this is a Cowboy team, as you mentioned, that is tied for the division lead. They're talking about the coach's job being in danger. Jerry said the question was not worth responding to, and then he responded. He said the answer is no, we're just getting started here. Well, they'd like to get started early in this game or they're going to have a problem. The same question being asked in Tampa about Raheem Morris, the amazing turnaround from 3-13 in 2009 to 10-6 last season with the youngest team in the NFL has been lost in a brutal 7-game losing streak, topped off